My name is Reverend Dr. May Elise Cannon. Today is Wednesday, July 10th. Today is day 278 since October 7th. In terms of an update on the ceasefire and hostage negotiations, an Israeli delegation that was led by their Mossad chief, David Barnea, has left for Qatar to attend a four-way summit with CIA Director William Burns, Qatari Prime Minister Al-Thani, and Egypt's intel chief Abbas Kamal. The summit was termed decisive by officials who were involved in it. Senior officials told Haaretz that if neither Prime Minister Netanyahu nor Hamas's leader in Gaza, Yahya Sinwar, sabotages the talks, then the final deal that would be placed on the table would likely lead to a collapse of the Israeli government's coalition. This is due to, we've talked about this before, Netanyahu's coalition would fall if 4 members left, 2 have left previously, so 2 remaining component parties would have to leave. And it kind of seems like no matter what happens, that's an imminent possibility. Atzma Yehudit and Religious Zionism have said that they would depart if a final deal is placed on the table, but officials from Netanyahu's Likud party have also told Haaretz that both party leaders, Itamar Ben-Gvir and Smotrich, Bezalel Smotrich, will not topple the government, not even if a hostage deal is reached. So we'll see. We'll see what happens if a hostage deal could be reached. And if it's not reached, wait till you hear about the protests that have been happening all over Israel. U.S.'s envoy to the Middle East, that's Brett McGurk. He spoke with Galant, the defense minister in Israel, about how to address the challenges and negotiations between Israel and Hamas for a hostage release ceasefire deal. According to the defense ministry in Israel, he said that according to Galant, a solution to prevent weapons smuggling into Gaza, we've been talking about this is specifically from the Egypt border, is crucial for cutting off Hamas's oxygen and for allowing the withdrawal of Israeli forces from parts of Gaza. Now, Prime Minister Netanyahu told McGurk that he's committed to a ceasefire deal as long as his list of red lines that he had mentioned on Sunday are maintained. And I thought I'd just take a quick minute and review those. There's 4 red lines. These are Netanyahu's principles for a release deal. They include 4 demands: that any deal would allow for Israel to resume its offensive operations until it achieves its war goals, that they would prevent Hamas from smuggling these arms in from Egypt. I've not read reports specifically indicating that that's actually happening or to what degree. To block thousands of terrorists from returning to North Gaza, these are Netanyahu's words, and to maximize the number of living hostages to return from Hamas captivity. So that's the update on ceasefire negotiations. In leaflets that were distributed in Arabic, the Israeli Defense Forces have called for all residents of Gaza City to evacuate south to Deir Abalah. Residents were informed that they had 48 hours or 24 to 48 hours to leave the city safely and to head south through designated crossings. This is just another displacement that has been viewed as appalling upon people who have been displaced time after time again. The Jordanian Foreign Minister Safadi has said that the order Israel gave to Gaza City residents to evacuate is a red line for both Jordan and Egypt, emphasizing that both countries will strongly oppose the further displacement of Palestinians in Gaza. Defense Minister Galant told the Knesset that the Israeli Defense Forces had killed or wounded 60% of Hamas forces in Gaza, dismantling 25 battalions or the vast majority of them. I would just highlight once again that we're hearing that from Galant. We've heard different things from other, the IDF spokesperson, different things from different people connected to the government and the Israeli Defense Forces about the veracity of Israeli war efforts via Hamas. The U.S. pier is supposed to be reinstalled today to be used for several days before it is pulled out permanently. That was reported to the Associated Press today. France has said they're gravely concerned about reports that an Israeli strike hit a tent encampment in southern Gaza where displaced civilians had gathered to watch a soccer match. And Palestinian health officials said that 29 people were killed, mostly women and children. That was in the city of Khan Yunis yesterday. 29 people killed. The Israeli Defense Forces have said that they're investigating the incident and that the strike targeted a certain member of Hamas who participated in October 7th. It was the event was executed by a fighter jet that used precision munitions, according to the IDF. I just want to note that this week, we heard similar reports about a school in Ukraine that was hit, where dozens of children were killed killing, civilians, and the killing of children and women, and the killing of anyone around the world. It just has to stop. And my only plea is that we would cry out desperately when anyone is killed, not only those in some countries that we're paying attention to while ignoring people in other parts of the world. And so I was devastated to hear the news about Ukraine, and it just broke my heart. And I hope that our hearts will similarly be broken about the situation in Gaza and the deaths that are happening there. The latest evacuation order from Gaza City came a day after this Israeli attack on the Al-Awada school, that killed, according to a different report, 30 people, where 53 people were wounded. Exclusive footage from the school was obtained by Al Jazeera, and it shows Palestinians playing football, soccer outside the school as dozens of people are watching. You can hear a loud explosion and you can see people running for cover. A Palestinian boy told Al Jazeera he lost several relatives in the attack. He said, "We were sitting and a missile fell and it destroyed everything." As he sobbed, he said, "I lost my uncle, my cousins, and my relatives." The death toll today in Gaza is at least 38,295 Palestinians killed, and those wounded is 88,241. In Israel, hundreds of Israelis gathered outside of the Defense Ministry's headquarters in Tel Aviv ahead of a march to Jerusalem that was led by families of hostage members or hostages who are still being held. They're calling for public to join the march. The march is expected to last 3 days, to end on Saturday outside of the Prime Minister's office in Jerusalem. And family members of hostages protested outside of the Knesset in Jerusalem, locking themselves in cages, calling on Israeli lawmakers to join them. Earlier, pro-ceasefire anti-government protesters partially blocked a main highway in central Israel, and 9 people were detained for questioning on the suspicion that they were violating a public order. Danny Elgarat, a brother of the hostage Itzhak Elgarat, was denied entry to the Knesset following his forcible removal from a committee meeting on Monday. People accused of supporting terrorism enter the Knesset, like Itamar Ben-Gvir, he said. "I've thwarted terrorism all of my life. They made a mistake, and now they're doubling down on it." In regard to the situation between Hezbollah and Israel, Hassan Nasrallah, the Hezbollah leader, said in a speech from a bunker that if there is a ceasefire agreement in Gaza, our front will also cease without any discussion or negotiations. There will be no ceasefire in the north without ending the war in Gaza. He said Hezbollah is achieving the objectives of our campaign to wear down the enemy, referring to Israel security-wise, morally, economically, and socially. Last night on the Golan Heights, an Israeli civilian couple, Noah and Nir Baranz, were killed when a rocket from Lebanon directly hit their car. They left behind 3 children, aged 18, 15, and 13. The IDF's preliminary investigation found that the Iron Dome missile defense system did not launch an interceptor at the rocket that hit the Baranz's vehicle because the area was classified as an open area. It was reported that 30 rockets were launched from Lebanon into Israel this morning, and that IDF fighter jets attacked Hezbollah targets deep inside Lebanese territory overnight into today. Benny Gantz said that it is time to exact a price for military targets and infrastructure belonging to the Lebanese state, of which Hezbollah is a part, adding that Israel's operational efforts should have been shifted to the north in March. He claims his party demanded it when he was a member of the war cabinet. Gantz accused Netanyahu of refusing to add to the war objectives the return of northern residents to their homes by September 1st. The IDF also is investigating the fighting in Kibbutz Be'eri on October 7th, and they uncovered some serious flaws in the ways that troops conducted the fight. Senior officials who've seen the investigation's reports have reported that will be published on Thursday. There also was a soldier killed yesterday in central Gaza Strip, a 21-year-old from the IDF. In the West Bank, a Palestinian was wounded seriously by Israeli forces in Tulkarm, according to the Palestinian Health Ministry. And an Israeli general has condemned the Israeli government's decision to expand settlements in the occupied territories in the West Bank and criticized the rising level of settler violence in the region. According to Israeli media, Major General Yehuda Fox, the outgoing head of Israel's Central Command, said at a departure ceremony earlier this week that Israeli settlers have engaged in nationalistic crime through violence in the occupied West Bank. He said it has sowed chaos and fear in Palestinian residents who do not pose any threat. Since October, there now have been 553 Palestinians killed by Israeli forces or settlers in the territory, and 9,510 have been detained, according to Palestinian officials. The past 2 days here in Washington, D.C., I've been hosting a delegation from Israel and Palestine. I'm encouraged by their courage. They have not given up hope. One of the leaders, a Muslim Palestinian sheikh, said, "There is not light at the end of the tunnel." And he paused and he said, "But I believe there's a turn in the tunnel and we need to keep walking." And he said, "Perhaps right after the next bend, Perhaps right after we take the next turn, then we will see the light. It might only be just around the corner. Maybe it's only a few feet away. And I thought that was a beautiful and powerful image. Might we keep moving forward toward peace in the hope that light will be there to meet us. And I'm praying tonight the prayers of the Psalm that says, I shall lie down and sleep in peace, for you alone, O Lord, make me dwell in safety. And that's my prayer, that the Lord of the universe, while Gaza is asleep, that the people there might truly be able to sleep in peace with no bombs being dropped or war being made all around them. Might all of the land that we call holy have peace in this moment. May peace come, and enduring peace with equality and justice and human rights and safety and security come for Palestinians. Might they have freedom and liberation, and for Israelis, might they have security and safety. Might peace come quickly on the horizon. In the name of Christ, amen.